everyone, and welcome to this new LEXIT Founders Series video. Today, we are interviewing yet another top blockchain entrepreneur, Ray Youssef, the CEO of Paxful. Ray has had quite an amazing journey. He has been involved in creating smartphones in 1999. He was selling ringtones in 2001, which looked very much like iTunes look now. He was involved in creating social networks in 2004, and then in 2015, Ray created Paxful. So Ray, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you please explain us what Paxful is?
Thank you for having me, Emil. Paxful, at its core, is, technologically speaking, a wallet for cryptocurrencies and also a listing and escrow service. Now, what it is functionally for the people is a universal translator of money. So for the first time ever, any form of money, not just currencies like cash or bank money, but money in your PayPal account or money in your, money through MoneyGram, Western Union, money in your from an Xbox gift card or a Walmart gift card can all now become Bitcoin. And then from there, that Bitcoin can become anything else. So a Walmart gift card can become an Xbox gift card or a cash deposit in Cambodia or a PayPal transfer in the UK. Basically, there are no borders anymore, and there are no limits. Anything can become anything.
Wow, that is amazing. And so I heard that Paxful was fitting in the original mission of Bitcoin. What is this original mission for you, and how do you contribute to this?
Well, I met my co-founder, Arthur Schabach, in New York City at the first Bitcoin convention that either of us had ever gone to. And he was the first person I met. In Bitcoin, actually, was the founder of that meetup, introduced us immediately the moment I walked in the door. And I asked him a couple of years later, why did you do it? He said, we were the only two tall guys in the whole place. He thought we would get along. And we did get along for a lot of reasons, not just because we were tall guys, but because we both were really drawn to Bitcoin because it could help people. It could make a day-to-day difference in the lives of the unbanked. And to us, to this day, we still see that as the original mission of Bitcoin, despite all the speculation and manipulation that's going on. We still see it as a tool to help those that need help the absolute most in the way that we all need help, which is financial.
Wow, that is a very purposeful mission. That is amazing to hear. Some people who are still in this original vision of empowering the unbanked and empowering the many of our world. That's great. Actually, you've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I would like to ask you if you have ever been involved in any M&A deal or private equity deal, or being involved in having to sell or buy any part of a company.
I was involved, financially speaking, in such a deal, but it didn't go through, so I don't have a good understanding of the day-to-day functions of it. But there were about 3 to 4 lawyers involved at any one time, and it was extremely complex. The amount of paperwork that was necessary, the amount of delays, the layers and layers of steps to go through to clear, everything from the IP to the employment agreement to the due diligence. It's considerable. It's a huge pain in the ass, and it's one of the biggest pains in the ass there is, I think. Next to VC funding itself, it's a huge pain.
All right. And so do you think, so you said that deal didn't go through, right? So do you think this complexity and this inefficiency around the deal contributed to, not letting it happen?
There was enough money involved in the deal, and we had enough time that eventually it would have happened, but this was in the music industry. Right after Napster went down, so there was the other side was very, I don't know what to say, arrogant, proud. They felt they just didn't want a deal, so they had a certain bias that we couldn't overcome. There was a prejudice because of industry dynamics. That was a very, very specialized case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to be in a very competitive industry and you must move forward pretty quickly, an M&A deal may be something that slows you down and might end up being detrimental to your business, from what I hear.
Yeah, absolutely. You can lose a lot of time. It drains a tremendous amount of bandwidth. There's tremendous layers of complexity that you have to go through various avenues. It gets even more complicated if it's international, There's an immense layers. I mean, there's impending regulation, especially in a new industry like Bitcoin and blockchain. You'd be shocked, especially in industries like the music industry, which have tremendous layers of IP. I mean, like for example, if 50 cents in the club, that one ringtone, I remember I made enough off that ringtone to buy a brownstone for my mother. It has 5 owners, right? Curtis Jackson being one of them, 50 Cent himself, and then there's 4 other guys. One of those guys owns less than 1% of that song. Because we didn't sign a deal with him, he was ready to sue us for $184,000 per infringement, right? Real bottom feeders. We had to work with him and basically pay him off. But that's just a small example of all the corner cases and things that can pop up in M&A, especially with IP. It's a tremendous jungle out there. If any service that helps dot the I's and cross the T's and gives you some flow and template and does the due diligence for you, vets the people for you, can provide tremendous value in a space that has needed disruption for quite some time, but it hasn't arrived yet.
All right. Well, I think you are leading me to my next question. This is really great. So, this series of video, we are making this in collaboration with LEXIT. So LEXIT basically is trying to bring the blockchain to the M&A sector in order to precisely reduce all those inefficiencies, to transform this jungle into a structured marketplace that you can navigate as an entrepreneur. So I was wondering if you thought, as an entrepreneur, I'm not asking for your opinion on LEXIT, but do you think blockchain can help improve the sector of M&A and can help improve those inefficiencies that you were talking about?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. I'm sure there's tremendous value blockchain technologies can add there, but probably not in the way most people think. The process of figuring out how we can do this is the process of building a company, talking with lawyers, with M&A attorneys with tremendous experience in the field, and then you can find out where to inject a record in an immutable ledger that would actually help solve a pain point. That's what we call in startup lands finding a product market fit. And the product in this case is the M&A industry, and then the tools are the blockchain. So you have to bring those two things together, which requires tremendous inside knowledge and what Adam Draper of Boost VC calls being the cockroach, really diving deep in there and not being afraid to come out just slimy and muddy and figuring it out. This is a rough process, which requires a very commando type team that's not afraid to get its hands dirty. But I'm sure it can happen. I'm sure it will happen.
All right.
It has to.
It has to indeed. And so, I think indeed that this could bring so much ease to entrepreneurs, because it's kind of difficult when you have created your company. It's kind of like your baby, you spend so much time on it. And then at some point you want to retire, you want to exit. And if you can't find the right partners, the right people to talk to, if you can't even know how much your company is worth, then you end up being face to face with someone you can't trust, but it's the only person you can find. And you might get a terrible deal. And as an entrepreneur, I think you have the right to get the best deal you can and to be informed as much as you can.
Absolutely. I mean, getting a bad deal is one concern, but getting no deal at all is another concern. We have to understand that most entrepreneurs, they start and they have, like my first business, the ringtone business, was very successful. I didn't get any funding. It was pretty bootstrapped, but when it came time, I didn't want to be in that business anymore. It was, the music industry for 7 years will destroy you, especially at that time. And it did. I didn't want to be in the industry. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know if there was no marketplace I could list it on, like putting up an apartment and seeing what bids would come in, right? I didn't know who to talk to, where to start, nothing. What am I supposed to do? Go, I run after an attorney, call them up. I didn't know. And I was someone in the space. And that's the bigger concern. It's like people have no idea where to start in this M&A business, whether they have something. Right now, I want to acquire certain companies in the crypto industry. I'm looking at them as well. So when I do, okay, I'll call them up and say, hey, I want to buy you guys out. Are you interested? If they say yes, okay, cool. Where do we go from there? Hire some expensive attorneys and go through the deal months. So if there's something that can streamline that, that'd be wonderful.
I like the fact that you said you don't have a platform kind of like to buy an apartment. I think it would be great to have kind of an Airbnb where you can find the company that you like, the IP that you like. That would be so easy if you could compare it so easily as Airbnb.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Ray, thank you so much for this interview. Maybe you have anything else you'd like to add before we finish this?
Well, I don't really have much to add because I don't know much about M&A, but I do know it needs disruption. It definitely needs disruption. Someone has to come and do this job. So the team that does this will be richly rewarded. But a very grateful scene.